Hey guys, Cody, nickname Code Red. Thanks to a coyote hunting buddy of mine, James Bostock. I tried doing this before. It was in like 3 or 4 different increments of videos of life story. People was like, oh, you ought to write a book, you know, and sitting here thinking about it tonight while I was working on one of my hobbies. A lot of you know that shooting and coyote hunting's one of my favorite hobbies, but I've started a new one, RC off-roading, 4-wheel drive, RC crawling, and just getting into it. But I was sitting here thinking tonight, I was going over a review. Girlfriend Wisty helps do some color detail, you know, spicing it up a bit. She colored the diff covers on it, and the rims, and sitting here thinking, I was like, well, why not record a whole thing of my life story? People are like, well, why don't you write a book? Like I said before, you know, I'm not into big reading unless it's something that's really got my interest, you know, something I love doing, and that I want to research and whatnot. But you know, I'll give it a shot. So born August 28th, 1987. Summer baby, late summer, I guess, early fall. Good life. I have 2 good parents, my dad and my mom. Mom's full-blooded Australian. My dad met her over, the story goes, my dad met her over there on his mission. She come here to go to college at BYU in Utah, and with one of her friends, and my dad's sister was going to the same college at the same time, and ran into each other there, and kicked off and got together and got married September 22nd, I believe, 1986, and 1987. I guess I came along, and 1990, had a little brother, so there's a family of 4, and still is a family of 4. Had a little brother, April, in 1990. Call him my little big brother now because he stands 6'2". He is a mixed martial artist. He is black belt now, and I believe it's in Taekwondo. And he is the 2-time Utah State champion in it. 3rd place at 2017 National Taekwondo. Then this year, they held it in Salt Lake City. I was able to attend it, where he won 1st place, so he is now the National Taekwondo champion in his weight division. A week later, flew out to Spokane, Washington, and won Pan Am's International. So, proud of him. Back to me. Good little life, you know, growing up. Grew up on a farm. Loved it. August 5th or 6th, I was 5 years old, so 92, I believe it was on my cousin Keith's birthday. Went to the doctor's. I remember my mom taking me, and doctor come out. We was kind of there in the nurses station area, and he says, you need to take Cody over to the hospital. We believe he has type 1 diabetes, juvenile type 1 diabetes. Went over there, and sure enough, now at that time diabetes was known of, juvenile diabetes type 1, but they had research on it, but it wasn't a lot. The machines were huge. I mean, I swear they're like the size of tablets. And dealt with that. It's hard life with it. Have a bunch of seizures and whatnot. With my dad working on the farm, partnership with my grandpa, he wasn't around a lot to help through that stuff, and I don't blame him. He was earning an income for the family. I love him for that. And so my mom did a lot of it, and I'll admit, I'm a mama's boy. I'll be the first to admit it. So what? She was there for me when my dad couldn't be. And she's my best friend. My dad's my best friend. We kind of didn't. We had a good relationship, but we didn't at times, and it was more so through teenage years. But dealt with the diabetes. What was it? Went through school. Bullied through school at times. Didn't do good at school. What was it? 7th grade. I got my appendix removed. 8th grade. Kind of jumping through this, because there wasn't a whole lot through 1st through 5th and 6th. 8th grade, I joined the first ever of my school's junior high football team, and that was fun. With the diabetes, it was kind of rough, but it was fun. I liked it. It was awesome, and I was proud to say that I was the first of something other than being the first sibling in the family. But that's how it is with families, right? Sibling rivals. Me and my brother beat up on each other a lot. Kind of made it rough, but got into high school. Well, not meaning to jump around, but memories spark other memories, and I'll get to that reason why. Started driving tractors and whatnot at 6 years old with my dad. Learned how to drive his Chev truck manual, first vehicle I ever drove, and worked on the farm through school and whatnot. It was kind of hard working on the farm, something I loved doing. I'd rather do that than be at school, and I'd get sick and I couldn't stay home. I'd go work on the farm, and Mom always told me, well, if you're good enough to go work on the farm, you're good enough to go to school. I'd always tell her. But Dad and Grandpa need help on the farm, and I'd go do it. And high school was fun. Got my driver's license. I thought that was cool. May of graduating of 2006, just before I graduated, I was 19. Made a lot of friends from the time of 16. Got my license. Got to go to town a lot. Grew up in a small town in Idaho, which is famous for Napoleon Dynamite. And because of my brother, he further put us on the map, along with Lindsay Christensen being a American Huntress champion. But besides the fact, made a lot of friends, hung out over there a lot. So May, graduation year, a couple weeks before I graduated, again in 2006, the lady the family we sent our milk to, Gosner Food Products, which the mother, I guess the head honcho of it, just passed away here 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. Kind of hit us, it was like we were part of the family, and she's part of our family. She's very, very welcoming and loving, to all of her buyers, or sellers of milk products to her company. And it was kind of tough when I got the news. So she approached us and told us, well, you either upgrade your farm, your dairy barn milking facility, or you got to sell out. And it's because they were upgrading their systems at the factory to better their milk products. And Dad and Grandpa got together and then just said there's no way. It was a minimum of $50,000 upgrade. And I mean, we milked in a flat barn. We got between the cows to change the milkers. We could only milk four cows at a time, and we had 7 cows in a stall. So we had a farm of So I think the most we had was like 48 cows, and it would take us 2.5, 3 hours milking cows. And Casey, my brother, and I'd always feed the calves, and I got to where I was driving the tractor, feeling comfortable enough to do it on my own. I'd do the corral work, feeding the silage, all along with doing field work. And my dad always joked with us, well, you guys milk tonight, because every time we milked, we'd always get the cows to produce more milk. I mean, when me and my brother would milk, we'd get it to where we'd end up having the milk tank overflowing, and my dad never had that until him and I'm not trying to, talk ourselves up or nothing. It was a true fact that the milk tank was running over because him and I would milk, and I don't know if it was just the timing between cows getting done and the time the milkers were supposed to be on the cows or what, but, it was a good experience. I learned a lot. My dad taught me a lot, and I'm appreciative of it. One day, sitting on the tractor, and we were hauling manure, and he goes, does it bother you that I sit here and watch you do this? I said, no, because if I notice you do something, if I do something wrong, you're going to be right there to correct it. And he goes, it always bugged me when your grandpa watched me, because I always felt like I was always doing it wrong. And I says, I look at it this way, and that's how I did, He was right there to correct me if I was doing something backwards, and he always did, always correct me if I was doing something wrong, so I knew how to get it right, and the next time I get it right the first time. And so he taught me a lot of how to work on stuff, and to, if you don't have the right equipment, to improvise and try it from a different angle, use different aspects of what you have to fix something and to get it done and up and going. And I learned a lot. And so we sold the farm. Brother was still in school. He graduated in 2008. We went to working for a distant family member who lived just down the road at Butler Farms. And first year, believe my dad that fall helped with hay, or that spring helped with hay, and then he went to work for the paper factory, Barrier Publishing, and we hauled hay. I learned to drive a semi that summer, and then that fall, they asked me to help on the potato line, picking off oversized potatoes and sacking them and stacking them to sell as sacked potatoes. And what an awesome experience, and lifting 60-pound bags 10-12 hours a day. I'm glad I had the weightlifting experience through high school. Helped me a lot get through them days. Made some good money, worked for them, seasonal work off and on. I think that was in 2006, 2007 I think I did it as well, and then 2007, they called me back to be a driver, and I was actually hanging out at a friend's house, and my mom come knocked on the door, and we've been up playing Guitar Hero. That was one of the favorite things, and Need for Speed, Pro Street, I think it was, and the original Need for Speed all night. And she called me, she come up knocking on the door, and says, hey, they need you to drive truck. What? Half awake, or even not even half awake. And so she takes me down. My dad gets me in this old International truck, and I loved it. Had the old granny shift, air brakes on it, air horn, and I'm dozing off the passenger seat as he's telling me how to do all this stuff. And I went 3 rounds, 3 loads with him, and he says, all right, have at it. And I'm like, oh no. And how I remembered all of that with dozing off beats me, but I drove for them till 2009. Met a girl. Eventually got married to her. What an experience. It was good. We dated for like 2 years and then decided to get married. And yeah. But it called me back, and during that time my diabetes got bad. I was helping a family member, or a family friend of ours, doing landscaping, and I love doing that. I self-taught myself in landscaping. In high school I learned how to weld and whatnot, so I had that under my belt as well, and small engines work. But I was doing landscaping. I actually refurbished an old wooden bench with the iron legs, armrests and whatnot, and I thought I got a piece of wood in my eye, my right eye, and so she gave us some money to go to the doctors. I didn't have insurance. I lost insurance at 18 years old because I was a legal adult. So this time her and I was living in Logan, Utah, moved away from home, and before that I got into some trouble with the law, spent some time in jail, got that probation paid off, and we moved to Logan and Logan area, surrounding areas, and went in, and kept going into the doctor at Logan Regional, eye doctor there, and they couldn't figure it out. So after like the 6th time of seeing him, he finally referred me to an eye specialist, Dr. Feistman. He's currently now in Florida, but here just talking that we couldn't afford this, and he come in and he goes, well, I heard you guys' financial situation isn't great, and I'm going to help you. Consider this a donation, and I see why he done that now, as a tax write-off for him, and you know what, no matter what, I don't care, there is nice people out there, is, as much as negative we see on social media and whatnot, and everyday lives, there are good people out there are great people out there. Well, during this time, my brother signed up for the Army, was deployed at this time. No, sorry, he was basic, and then went to AIT in Arizona, and maybe he wasn't quite there yet, but doctor came to me and he goes, your retina is completely torn in two. I mean, I could not see just even a dull light in the room. Seemed like somebody was just shining the sun like right here, right in my right eye. I mean, it was like I lived in a cave. And so me and my at the time wife was going through hard times, and I told her, I was like, look, I need you to take me to the surgery to reattach it. And the doctor told me, okay, it's a 2-hour surgery, and it ended up being 5. She helped me up with it, get me there. They reattached it. They put nitrous in my eye to help keep the eyeball formed, and I had to sleep on my face for 6 weeks, belly down, and I am not a person to sleep like that. And I did it. Turned out great. Then he recommended me to Dr. Hammond, and I did form a cataract. Her and I got divorced. That was a tough ordeal. Got in some trouble with the law again through tickets and whatnot. I'm gonna be blunt and honest. Her dad come to pay the ticket for me because I was broke. I didn't have a job at the time, and he gave me a Toyota pickup. I worked it off, and I actually backed into somebody, and they ended up driving off. I ended up getting the ticket for the hit and run. He come to pay it off, and then he come and kidnapped me to take me to the lawyer to sign the papers, and he wasn't gonna let me leave until I signed the papers. And I was in a dark spot at this time of my life because of us getting divorced. And backtrack a bit, I met my daughter's mom. We went to school together. She got pregnant. I was into drinking then. I was 21. Back again, I met some friends, buddy John and whatnot, and got me into off-roading and that. But back to my daughter's mom, met her, went to school, reunited, I guess, because we used to go to school together. She's a little bit younger than I. We had a daughter together, wonderful, beautiful daughter. Before the divorce, and I again apologize for jumping around, things are sparking memories. And so my ex-wife was helping me, well, wife at the time was helping me go see my daughter, and it's few far in between seeing her, because I guess I treated her wrong, and I wasn't able to see my daughter, withholding me, that whole ordeal, stuff like that. And I'm not gonna be, okay, this is always how it is for guys. No, it goes the other way for women too. I'm currently with somebody that has that going on as well. So back to it. I was heavily into drinking and whatnot just to cope with it, and I know it's not the right thing to do, and you know, kids watching this, it's drugs and alcohol is not an option. It's not to find your way out, because no matter what, when you come back around the next morning or whatever, your problems are still going to be there. And so she helped me through that. We got divorced, got, you know, signed the papers, got all my stuff from her parents' place. And what happened, you know, I found a job during that time too. Then I got the hit and run. Again, still in a dark spot, partying all the time. Just went away from home, you know, would go back home, be away from home weeks on end, just because I didn't want to be home, and I felt cooped up, and all my friends were right in town, and I lived in the suburbs, and it was an 11-mile trip. And so went back home, got in contact with another local farmer, moved pipe for him, helped pay child support and whatnot, because I had that bill to take care of. During the times, you know, there's gaps in here. Child support build up. And then, after me and my ex-wife divorced, I was moving pipe, worked a month there, and I guess I was just too hard on the kids, but I mean, I was the lead for pipe moving. I had the most experience in it, with, you know, living on the family farm and whatnot, and I just felt like I had to drop everything I was doing when I needed to get my work done before dark, and not moving pipe, you know, clear till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, because it was the guy's income, and to support his family, so I had to get it done. And so he said I was just too rough on him, and away I went. And then the company, my dad at this time was working for Valley Implement, which is a Case and New Holland dealership, and they were changing locations from downtown Preston to the outer skirts of Preston for a bigger facility. They allowed me to get on working there to help with the move. You know, I paid some bills and whatnot, and I got into mud bogging at this time, had my own truck, and John, my claimed brother from California, had met his wife, Jessica. I introduced them, and we were all into mud bogging, going out, you know, off-roading, doing trail runs and whatnot on the weekends or afternoons after work during the summer, hanging out, you know, typical guy stuff, or everybody you know, things to do for everybody, summertime. And well, one day I was hanging out with another buddy of mine at his girlfriend's house, and by this time it was 2012, and we had burgers and fries, and all of a sudden I just felt wrong. And I mean, I grew up with seizures, with the type 1 diabetes and whatnot. Well, he took me home, and I should have just had him take me to the hospital. We're like 4 blocks away from the hospital, if that, maybe 2 or 3. So he took me clear out across town to the suburbs to my parents' place. She goes, no, my mom goes, no, get him to the hospital. So took me into the hospital, and doctors were going to do a 24-hour urine test. Well, come to find out, I had chronic renal failure, and short term, I had kidney failure. And it was due to, because of complications of diabetes and the heavy drinking. So they put me on dialysis, put an AV port in my arm, fistula. As you can see there's a scar for where they put it in. And then there's a horizontal scar there, or vertical scar there, for where they cleaned it out one time. But they told me I had to be on dialysis for 3 months to qualify to be on a transplant list. I went in there thinking, oh yeah, I'm not going to be on this long, I'll be in and out of here. Yeah. For you that don't know, that's not the case. That is not the case. So, was on it, you know, they got me on the transplant list. They were able to get me an insulin pump. Why I did not go to that sooner, even though my doctor was trying to get me to, I don't know why. I'm stubborn, I'm hard-headed. I do things my way when I want. And so just dealt with dialysis Monday through Friday. You know, different, you know, times were set, but there was times that they changed, you know. And so I liked early mornings because then I go home and rest. And if you've ever had growing cramps, which I know a lot of people have, think of when you're done, when I was done with dialysis, 3.5 hours. Freaking 15 gauge needles in your arm for 3 hours, 2 of them. You get done, you're tired and worn out and you're hurt. Think of sprinting a mile non-stop. Full sprint as fast as you can with the worst growing cramps ever, times 10. That's how I felt. Well, by this time I had friends and my brother, well, by this time, my brother, okay, we'll stop there and jump to this. My brother was in Afghanistan. I went down to Arizona with my mom, got him from AIT, transfer, you know, he's between transfer from where he was to base he was going to. He was deployed, and then, he come home, he got word through the grapevine he's about to re-up to Special Forces. Got the word through the grapevine that I had kidney failure, I was dialysis. He went in, told him, you know what, that you had my time for this long, my family needs me now. He strictly was coming home because he was going to donate a kidney to me. Well, because of my type 1 diabetes and then kidney failure, it qualified me for a dual transplant, which was a pancreas and a kidney. It's more common than people think, but I was at the right age. I was in pretty good health, considering how bad my diabetes was. I always snuck candy and things like that at home and at school. I could have done better at it. I'll be the first to admit, I could have done better. But he come home. He tried looking into donating kidneys, and they're just like, no, you can't, you know. And I told him, last resort option. We can do this. Well, we started an airsoft team with one of my friends I'd known since I was 16, my brother, a couple others, and a friend of ours that I met through another friend. His name's Andrew. And that guy, I tell you what, is the funniest guy I've ever met and the most coolest guy ever. This guy would get done with work, and I'd be sleeping, and he'd call me. He says, get your rifle, we're going to the range, or get your rifle, we're going coyote hunting. And he got me so hooked on coyote hunting. I tried it before with a .22, and it was fun, but the way we done it is just the wrong way of doing it. But Andrew, he got me hooked on it, and he helped me a lot. I mean, granted, there's other people support me and whatnot, but he was the one that would take his time after work and come and get me and take me out and get my mind off all the negativity of the treatments and what ifs, if this goes wrong or if this goes wrong. Got my mind off of it. And whether I was tired or not, I still went. And it was fun. And he made it fun. We'd stop at the local Burger King, grab our food and onions, or onion rings and our drinks, and we'd head out. And I was limited on an intake of 32 ounces per day. And so it was hard to not drink a lot. But I got in the routine of it. And that guy, so awesome. So awesome. Well, then my claimed brother and sister, John and Jessica, got married and was part of their funeral, or, sorry, excuse me, not funeral, wedding. But, Jessica calls me while I'm at dialysis. She goes, if you need me to, I'll hold this wedding off till you get here. I was like, nope, we'll make it. I'll be there. She goes, okay, because I can hold it off. You know, I have the say in this. I go, nope, don't worry about it. So, done that. Andrew continued to take me out to the rifle range, and we went down to Milsim City in Salt Lake, which is moved now for airsofting and whatnot. We'd go out on weekends. We did a camp out or two in our airsoft group, and whatnot, and got my mind off of it there. And I mean, I had the vision problems because of the retina detachment and whatnot, but I mean, they always give me a chance. And you know, couldn't see long distances. I can't see small objects, but I love shooting. I love doing what I do, and so everybody, I had so many friends and family just support me through dialysis, and that was another low spot through my life. But I knew that I had so many people supporting me and cheering me on. I just could not give up. It's not in my nature. It's not in my family. We are warriors. We are fighters, and we will overcome anything that comes our way. Whether it takes us a short amount of time or a long time, we will come out on top. I mean, my family is champions. My brother's a freaking well-known champion now. I'm a warrior and a champion of getting over my health issues. My cousin in Australia, she is a karate champion herself, and during this time we had a UFC fighter, Court McGee, come up from Orem, Utah to do a teaching seminar for Victory Training Academy, which my brother is running for mixed martial arts for kids and adults, and self-defense, and you know, fighting for karate, taekwondo, all of it, cage, kickboxing, anything. And he comes up, and I was talking to him, and I found out he had his own battles of drug addiction, and I was telling him about my dialysis, and he goes, you know what, Cody, you're a warrior, and you're the strongest warrior and fighter I know, and you can get through this. And I loved fishing, and come to find out, one of his favorite fishing spots was 15 minutes outside of town. Who'd have thunk? Right next door to my brother's buddy and family friends and his boss and partnership in the gym. There's a place right around the corner from there. It's like, whoa, you know. So we got on talking about fishing and whatnot. And it was cool to have a professional athlete, a professional fighter, which won the Ultimate Fighter. Don't remember what year, but tell me that I am a warrior, and that I'm the strongest fighter that he knows, you know. And the words of inspiration just pushed me that much further to get the transplant. And I'd always go into the gas station, people would always tell me, well, I hope you get that transplant. And I turn around, look them dead in the eye, and I tell them, I will get this transplant. And they'd be like, that's a good way to look at it. And I says, it's the only way I will look at this. I am not going down without a fight. I says, I got all you guys supporting me and backing me, cheering me on, that it will be a big letdown to you guys if I just give up and not get it. So, a little while later, the doctor comes